Boarded-up storefronts, deserted downtowns, city halls scrambling to close budget gaps that never seem to shrink, while the skylines still sparkle and traffic hums through busy streets. A silent crisis is unfolding beneath the surface of America's biggest cities. What happens when a city runs out of money? When tax revenue dries up, essential services fail, and the bills stop getting paid? This isn't a far-off warning. It's already happening. From coast to coast, major metropolitan areas, not just small, forgotten towns, are struggling to survive. Cities once booming with jobs and opportunity are now crushed under the weight of debt, declining populations, and promises they simply can't afford to keep. Is your hometown next? Let's break down 10 U.S. cities most likely to collapse first if the economy crashes. Number 10. New York City, New York. The Big Apple is one of the wealthiest cities on Earth, but behind the billion-dollar buildings and bright Broadway lights, the foundation is cracking. New York City is currently drowning in over $171 billion in debt, not including massive unfunded pension and healthcare obligations. That comes out to $71,400 owed per taxpayer, a staggering burden. Despite its global appeal, more people are leaving New York than arriving. And when the population declines, so does the tax base. Meanwhile, crime is rising, schools are underfunded, and public services are being stretched thinner each year. In a serious economic downturn, New York's fragile finances could unravel fast. The city that never sleeps might be sleepwalking toward disaster. Number 9. Chicago. Illinois is the beating heart of the Midwest, but its pulse is weakening. The city is facing $38.2 billion in debt and has received a failing grade for fiscal health. Retail chains are abandoning major shopping districts, leaving empty storefronts and quiet streets in their wake. Why? High crime, high taxes, and years of budget mismanagement. Today, each Chicago resident would have to pay over $40,900 just to balance the books. Without major reform or a miracle, Chicago is one big economic shock away from shutting down key services from policing to infrastructure maintenance. The warning signs are flashing bright red. Number 8. Honolulu. Hawaii apparatus comes at a price. And Honolulu, one of America's most beautiful cities, is paying more than it can afford. Behind the palm trees and turquoise waves is a city running a dangerously unsustainable budget. Honolulu owes $31,700 per taxpayer and spends $1.50 for every $1 it earns. That's not a budget, that's a ticking time bomb. Tourism is the lifeblood of Hawaii's economy, but during the pandemic, more than 220,000 jobs vanished statewide. Many businesses never reopened, and revenues are still recovering. To make things worse, Honolulu has the highest cost of living in the U.S., even topping San Francisco. Infrastructure is crumbling, homelessness is surging, and pension obligations are grossly underfunded. One more economic downturn could trigger a collapse no island breeze can fix. Number 7. Portland, Oregon. Once a haven for innovation and independence, Portland is now teetering on the edge of collapse. The city received a failing grade in fiscal health and is promising $1.40 in spending for every $1 it earns, a dangerous imbalance. Much of this spending is tied to underfunded pensions and post-employment benefits. Commercial districts are thinning, crime has spiked, and population growth has slowed dramatically, even reversing in some neighborhoods. Portland's tax base is shrinking, while public liabilities are growing past $0.88 billion. Without decisive intervention, Portland could spiral into financial freefall. The question is, can the city reinvent itself again, or is the clock running out? Number 6. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is a city of culture, resilience, and celebration. But beneath the beads and brass bands is a fragile financial core, still reeling from Hurricane Katrina and COVID. New Orleans faces a mounting fiscal crisis. It carries an F grade in fiscal health and a taxpayer burden of over $21,900 per resident. With public infrastructure crumbling and a heavy reliance on tourism, the city is uniquely vulnerable to economic downturns. Worse, it owes hundreds of millions in pension and healthcare obligations it can't afford. And when the next natural disaster strikes, whether hurricane or recession, there may be no money left to rebuild. Number 5. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philly is the birthplace of American freedom, but today, liberty has given way to looming liabilities. The city has a taxpayer burden of $27,600 per person and is sitting on over $11 billion in unfunded obligations. Despite this, many residents are unaware of how dire the financial situation has become. Public services are already feeling the squeeze. Trash pickup is delayed, libraries are closing, emergency response is slower. With a shrinking middle class, falling school enrollment, and an exodus of younger residents, Philly is standing on a crumbling foundation. If the national economy falters, Philadelphia may not be able to withstand the shock. Number 4. St. Louis. Missourians, a thriving industrial gateway, St. Louis is now a city fighting for financial survival. It has received a consistent D or lower in fiscal health, with over $1.1 billion in unfunded obligations. The population has dropped by over 60% since 1950, gutting the local tax base. Now, just under 300,000 residents remain, many of whom are burdened with the cost of failing infrastructure, rising crime, and declining public services. If another recession hits, St. Louis may be too weak to recover. The collapse could come not with a bang, but a long, quiet unraveling. Number 3. Dallas. Texas. Dallas has the image of a booming, business-friendly city, but behind the curtain is a financial crisis in the making. The city has over $3 billion in unfunded liabilities, with each taxpayer effectively owing $13,500 to close the gap. It earned a failing grade in fiscal health and lacks a true rainy day fund. Pensions for police and firefighters are in trouble, and infrastructure is straining under rapid population growth. Dallas has been borrowing heavily and relying on optimistic future revenue plans that may crumble if the economy turns. The full weight of prosperity is thin, and without reserves or reforms, Dallas could be among the first big cities to feel the pain of a national crash. Number 2. Pittsburgh. Pennsylvania still built the city. Now, its financial structure is rusting. Pittsburgh is dealing with over $1.5 billion in long-term debt, not counting hundreds of millions more in pension and retiree healthcare shortfalls. Each taxpayer would need to contribute nearly $16,000 to balance the books. Its population has dropped by more than half since the 1950s, leaving behind Holland neighborhoods and shrinking revenues. Public transit, waste management, and even police services are all under threat if another recession hits. An aging population and an underfunded pension system make Pittsburgh particularly vulnerable. It's a city trying to rise, but the cracks are spreading fast. Number 1. Miami. Florida. Miami glistens with wealth and sunshine, but beneath the palm trees and high-rise condos lies a storm brewing quietly. The city holds nearly $1 billion in unfunded pension and healthcare liabilities. It operates on a razor-thin margin, spending nearly every dollar it brings in. And then there's the climate threat: rising sea levels, hurricanes, and flooding. Miami is one of the most climate-vulnerable cities in the U.S., yet continues to underinvest in protection. Meanwhile, housing isn't affordable, wages are stagnant, and homelessness is rising. Tourism and real estate, its two main industries, are highly sensitive to economic shocks. Without a safety net or diversified economy, Miami could collapse faster than any other U.S. city if disaster strikes. Conclusion: these 10 cities are waving red flags. Debt is rising, populations are shifting, services are eroding, and when the next economic crash comes, and it will, some cities won't bounce back, because collapse doesn't always happen overnight. Sometimes it's slow, quiet, a broken streetlight here, a delayed paycheck there, and one day, your city just isn't what it used to be. If this video opened your eyes, subscribe to our channel, like and share this video. Someone you know might be living in one of these ticking time bombs. We've got more cities, more stories, and more truths to uncover. Stay alert, stay informed, and keep watching.